Good evening, gardening friends. It is now, let's see, May 27th, and a little after 5. Sorry about the sun in there. I'm going to try and do this somewhat steady instead of holding the camera all the time. Wanted to give you an update. I've done a lot today, a lot more than I thought I would. You can see my tomato plant there. I don't know how well you can see. There's a couple of ripe tomatoes up on there. And I'm going to go join my family for a little R&R tomorrow. Hang out by the pool. And I'm going to bring them a couple of ripe tomatoes. Along with that, I'll bring a few other things. There's not much else developing here on the patio, but there's more developments outside. So let's take a look. First of all, for the big late spring project, planter number 1 is now completely rebuilt and filled. It's got, let's see, it's 25% compost and the old soil, I mixed them together, so it's 25% compost. And then right at the top there, I kind of ran out of room, so I threw in some Miracle-Gro garden soil, which was on sale at Home Depot, good price. Secondly, planter number 2 is in progress. I've emptied it out. I'll actually pick this up and kind of show you how it's empty here. So you can see there's actually, I was watering this up until yesterday or the day before, so it's still got quite a bit of moisture, so I'm going to let it sit for a day or so and dry out. Then I'll take it apart and brush it off, get the remainder of the dirt off. Just easier to brush off when it's dry. Then I'll paint it, or at least prime it, and then we'll get to filling it, and then we'll get to number 3. Just one at a time. So let's see what's happening with the rest of it. Next, I think you can see I've got all these buckets set up as my staging area. Putting all this together, I am putting together another video that details what I'm doing to rebuild these planters and refill them for the larger project at hand. But now I'm starting to look at taking some of the larger planters that I still have and putting them up along the wall there, so I'll just have a number of planters. I'm not exactly sure the arrangement. It'd be nice to have a comprehensive garden plan, but it'd also be nice to have a budget. Like I said, the compost was free, and you can see the garden soil in the middle there. That was, like I said, it was 4 bags for 10 bucks. 4 cubic feet for 10 bucks. Not a really bad deal, and it's Miracle-Gro. It's a decent brand. So that should help with a number of things. Anyway, that's it over here. I gave up on the elephant ears that were planted here under the stairs. And what I decided to do, since one of the planters had this ice plant that was starting to grow and give me some nice little flowers, I suspect ice plant might actually survive since it's a succulent. It might actually survive less sun. I don't know, at least less water since it's a succulent. As I recall, ice plant's pretty hard to kill. So we'll give it a chance over here. We'll see what happens. So I replanted those planters, used some of the soil, some of the what I'm calling flower soil or something like that, because it was potentially contaminated with lead or something else from the paint it was in contact with in those big planters. So that's what's going on there. And then back over here we've got the nasturtium, which, as I've mentioned many times before, is an edible. And they're growing a little bit long, and I keep saying I'm going to trim them off. Well, the plan is tomorrow morning I'm going to trim them off, wash them off, and bring them to the party. See how many people actually like the taste of nasturtium and the flowers that end up getting trimmed off. So I think that's it. Let's see. Yep, I guess that's about it for today. Let's see what I get done tomorrow. Well, folks, it's been a few days since I've recorded anything here. Let's see, it's now the 29th, May 29th at, what time is it? It's a little before 4 p.m. I'm going to show you the tomato. I've harvested even more. This is really kind of nice. I've given a few away. That feels good. And I've got some new green ones on there, and I see some yellow flower buds. So I don't know how well you can see all of that. Let me try and give you, I'm going to pick it up and go. And let me see if I can't. I don't know if you can see, there's a couple of buds, or a couple of tiny little tomatoes up there. Let's see if we can find a couple of flower buds in there. Okay. Pretty much, it's a tomato plant. You've probably seen most of this. Some of the tomatoes are actually growing on the other side of the that sort of wall I have at the back. So they're a little interesting trying to reach up and over to get them. Ooh, there's even another one back. I just spotted yet another one. Oh, 2 more. Wow. 3 more. Wow, this is nice. So I got a whole bunch of them growing. Some of them are getting bigger. That's pretty nice there. So I'm happy with the tomatoes. The rest of the patio hasn't really had a whole lot of attention except watering. And let me see if I can sort of show you what it looks like over here on the windowsill. These are the artichokes that I am hardening off. I don't know if you can really see that at all, or just my reflection, my ugly reflection. Anyway, that's the patio. Let me show you what else I've done. So I've just finished building planter number 2. I skipped documenting all the steps because it's pretty much exactly the same as planter number 1. That's pretty much its final location. It's already been leveled up. It's ready to go there. I've disassembled it, reassembled it, scrubbed it down, primed it, painted it, and now lined it with cedar. So it's just ready to go. I just got to drop some soil in there. I'm going to probably spend a good chunk of tomorrow doing that. It's getting warmer, so it's a little harder to do that much more. But that's pretty much it for today. There's not a whole lot of other developments. None of the newer plants have actually sprouted yet, so that's it for now. Till the next update. Alright folks, so I've been rather busy working on this, and now we've got number 2 is filled. And it's been interesting kind of juggling all the soil. Let me actually show you that. So I don't know how well you can see all of this, but off in the distance on the left, near the top of the frame there, that's a couple of, actually a couple of new window boxes that I've acquired. Basically what I'm doing with all this soil, first thing was I separated it into the potentially contaminated soil by lifting about 3.5–4 inches around the edges of each of the big planters as I excavated the dirt out. Just because some of the wood that I used was painted or possibly treated, and I don't know if any of that might have leached into the soil. I figured 3.5–4 inches is probably reasonable for at least getting rid of the majority of any potential contamination. I really just don't want to have like lead in my food from lead paint. Anyway, so I've separated basically aside from the round plastic buckets that you might see, which have compost in them, all of the plastic containers have the potentially contaminated soil. I have been working also, or the stuff I excavated out of the middle, I was considering non-contaminated, and I was using that and mixing it with 20% compost, whereas 20% of the total mix after I mix it up is compost. So I'm amending the soil really, and I'm taking that, and that's what's ending up in these planters after I rebuild and paint and do everything that I'm doing with them. I've also been doing the same thing at 20% for the potentially contaminated soil, and basically all it's going to go in there is flowers. So those first 2 that you see near the top left of the frame, those are already amended. There's a couple more in front of the planter. Those have not been amended yet. But basically this is, the overall sort of plan is trying to do all of that. And so now the next thing is going to be to pull the actual flowers out of this planter. Let me get you a little closer. So I'm not sure how clear this is coming out because of the sun kind of being half in and half out of the frame. But there's a lot of flowers in there. If you also look, the soil's not all that high. But I basically want to rescue these flowers. I don't want to just toss them out. So I'm going to transplant those into the 2 big planters on the left of the frame there. And then if I need more space to transplant, I've got the 2 to the right of the frame next to the big planter. So once I get all of the flowers out, then I'll start excavating the soil. There's not a whole lot of it, so I've been having to not just amend, but I've actually had to go out and get some garden soil to add to this, just so I can fill all 3 of these big planters again. But that's pretty much what's been going on, and I'm just going to keep plugging away, and hopefully this weekend or early next week I'll be transplanting those artichokes and adding some other stuff in. That's it for now. Good morning, gardening friends. It's now June 3rd at about 10:30 in the morning. If you look at the tomatoes, you can see that I've picked off all of the red ones. They were all delicious. Gave a few away. And what I've got left is a few green ones. Don't know how well you can see them from that shot. Let's try this. That should put a few more in view. So that's what the tomatoes are looking like. Now let's talk about the rest of the patio. About the biggest change around the patio was maybe that one orange flower that you can see from the nasturtium, and I put up a few lights right around Memorial Day, and I'll leave them up through the 4th of July, especially with the red, white, and blue one on the end there. Don't know how well you can see it, but anyway, just kind of lighten up the night. Let's also look at the artichokes. So I've started introducing them to the outdoors so they can get a little bit of more direct sunlight instead of filtered through the window, and a little bit of the wind, although back here it's a little bit more sheltered. I also cleaned up a lot of the dead leaves, and it actually looks like I've got 4 fairly viable plants, so I'm pretty happy about that, and I may be transplanting soon. I think I probably need to give them a couple more days in terms of outdoor exposure. That's supposedly what I should do, but I'm also looking at the weather. So if I can, I may actually get to transplanting them today. If not today, hopefully tomorrow. So that's it for the patio. So out here in the courtyard, we've got a couple of window boxes that I put up along the wall. That was the stuff that was transplanted from the 3rd planter. And we've got the Nandina in between there, which I cut way back. So you can see that there's not much going on. The plants on the outside seem to be bouncing back, though some of them are still kind of wilted over. I think it's just shock. Give it a couple more days, I'll be able to tell which ones survived and which ones didn't. The Nandina is just an experiment, so we'll see how well that goes if it decides to start shooting up something new. And then over here, the nursery doesn't look all that different. The nasturtiums in the 2nd to last and 3rd to last pots on the right, those are growing, but they were growing. Everything planted on the 22nd, I haven't seen any actual sprouts yet, and if I move over just a little bit, you'll be able to see the tree is growing nicely. It's getting some leaves on it, so that makes me happy. And if I turn around over here, you can see the morning glory has a couple of flowers on it. Okay, it's not exploding with flowers, but it's progress. So that's what that looks like. And then we have the 2 planters, the 2 big planters. So the one on the left, obviously I have not gotten any further with. I'm going to try and get some of that done today. The one on the right's all ready to go. And then there's one more. Let's see if I can swing around for you here. Past all the other ugly stuff you don't care about, there's one more over there. So that kind of gives you an idea of how they all relate to each other. Got a little pinwheel in there just for fun. And I'm going to see if I can get transplanting, or seeds planted and transplant those artichokes today. Like I said, if I can't do it today, I'll definitely shoot for tomorrow. We'll see. Good evening, gardening friends. It's now, let's see, June 5th at a little past 5:30. And I got a lot done in the last few days. Sorry I haven't given you so many updates, but let's run through it. You can see the tomatoes, not much different. All the work is elsewhere. The one thing I did do on the patio that's a little bit different, I'm going to have to pick this up and show you. That, gotta focus here. There we go. Don't know how well you can see. That one's empty. That one's empty. You might be wondering why. Well, let's go outside and figure it out. That's because number 3 on the left is finally done. Number 2 is also done, and they're actually planted. Let's see if we can get a little closer and see if you can actually see. Itty bitty little artichoke seedling. So I've got that there. Sorry about the strap. And I've also got tarragon and sunflower, mixed sunflower seeds in there. Those are 2 companion plants for the artichoke. That's why I chose them. They're kind of interspersed. Oh, and marigold around the edges, so that should help, I'm hoping, send away any of the nasty bugs, and the others should attract the beneficial bugs. Another thing I discovered, and I apologize that my last update got cut off, but the memory card ran out, is that the nasturtium up here, let me actually put this back down here so it's not so wobbly, and I guess it's wobbly until I do. But the nasturtium you see up above number 1, and I'm going to have more of them up above 2 and 3. But the nasturtiums that are up there will actually attract aphids away from the artichokes. So that's a good thing. That keeps the aphids off the artichokes. I don't mind necessarily sacrificing the nasturtiums for a nice, healthy, big artichoke plant. Although, I mean, I've had the nasturtiums around here for a while. I get that weird sort of yellowing around the edges. Maybe that's the aphids causing that. I need to look that up. But the point is, I got plenty of nasturtium. I mean, look at the yellow on the right there. That's quite a bit of stuff hanging down. So that's the good news. I've got all 3 planters done, planted out. Alright folks, it's now June 7th at a little after 4:30 in the afternoon. Not a lot of light back here. I'm going to leave you with a little tease for the end of the episode. This is where the next big project is going to happen. And actually I'm probably going to be shooting that in about 5 minutes. And I do want to say that through all of these changes that I've been going through, there's also another change been happening. I've been losing a ton of weight over the last month or so. I think it's literally because I'm getting so much exercise just trying to catch up on gardening and so much bending over and what have you. I'll spare you what I look like, but let it be said that I'm enjoying the fact that I've lost a fair amount just in a month. Anyway, that's it for this episode.